Michael, according to Vedanta in general and Sri Ramana in particular, what are the kinds of things that we should be doing in our lives to align ourselves with ultimate reality, the contemplative practices, the living of our life? What are the literal practical things we should be doing?
When you say Vedanta in general, Vedanta is open to interpretation in many ways. So there are many different interpretations of Vedanta. From the Advaita perspective, all those different interpretations are appropriate to us at different stages of our spiritual development. So for some people, for example, just take one example, ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Their mantra is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Yeah,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
yeah.
For them, that is the ultimate spiritual practice. That is fine. That is, it is because that if that is taking a name of God is a way of focusing our love. So that is fine at its own level, but there are many different types of practices within the broad. Vedanta is a very, very broad church, so it has room for many different practices.
Okay. Normally, we think that meditation is a core feature of Vedantic or Hindu
Mm,
philosophy, and you've talked about self-attention in your work.
mm.
What is the articulation between meditation and self-attention?
Meditation generally is understood as meditating on an object. It can be meditating on a name or form of God if you're following the path of devotion, or it can be meditation on the breath, or if you're, I
Yeah.
mean, the path of yoga, they tend to be a bit more, um, they have different objects of meditation, but fixing the mind on any object is the general understanding of meditation.
Yes. Yes.
Self-investigation is also a form of meditation, but fundamentally unlike all other forms of meditation, because all other forms of meditation entail attending to some object,
Yes.
whereas self-investigation is attending to the subject.
And how do you do that?
It is a very subtle practice because if we're asked to attend to an object, it's very obvious to us what it means. If we're shown a picture, attend to this, we attend to it. But many people find it difficult to understand what it means to meditate on the subject, on the awareness to which all objects appear.
Yeah,
So,
I would classify myself as unable to do that or unable to conceive what that means.
okay, it requires a certain subtlety of understanding. That is, we are aware of so many objects, but we're also aware of ourselves as the awareness that is aware of those objects.
Yes.
So though we are not an object, though awareness is not an object, it's something we are clearly aware of. So it is possible to turn our attention away from phenomena back towards ourself, the one to whom all the phenomena appear.
And
It's a very deep and subtle form of meditation, but this is the ultimate meditation.
and and in that state, you have no awareness of any object. Is that right?
Well, in practice, no, in practice we do still, because if our attention on ourself were so keenly focused, we would cease to be aware of anything else. But in practice, we still have attachments, so we are not able to totally free ourselves from the shackles of um, awareness of phenomena. So, but but the practice is to try to keep our attention as much as possible on ourselves, on the awareness.
And is
And
this something that you do, a half hour after you wake up in the morning, or is this something that you try to live with throughout your entire waking existence?
you try to live with it throughout your waking existence. That is what we should be aiming for. In practice, it's very much easier to say it than to do it, because our minds are naturally outward going. We are naturally drawn to experiencing phenomena. So in any type of meditation, it's a challenge, because you're trying to focus the mind on one thing, and the nature of the mind is to wander, to go out. It is even more of a challenge when you're trying to focus your attention on yourself, because attending to anything other than ourself is not um, is not threatening the very existence of ourself as this individual. But to the extent to which we attend to ourself, we as ego subside and begin to dissolve back into the pure awareness that we actually are.
If we
So
can, if we can attain that pure awareness, that's without any objective awareness.
yes, yes. But that requires all-consuming love and what is called vairagya, which is freedom from desire to attend to experience anything else. For most of us, it takes years or lifetimes of practice.
But is this something that you regularly do, like twice a day, or is it?
We the aim is to do it always.
Yeah, but then
Some people like to. Some
you do
people
it
like to.
always. You walk across the street, you might get hit by a car. I mean,
Well, yeah, but in the midst of that is it. Even when we're attending to other things, we can have a background
uh,
uh, attention on ourselves. And as we go deeper and deeper in the practice, we find it's possible to withdraw ourselves more and more. So many things we do in life, we do more or less on autopilot.
yep.
If you're driving your car, you're not attending to everything. You're not. If you were trying to attend to everything, every other car and everything, you wouldn't be a very good driver.
Hmm.
The best drivers are those who are able to totally switch on to autopilot and let the driving happen by itself. The same is the case with most of the activities we do in life.
Mm.
As we go deeper in the practice, it's clear that the activities can go on, but we can step back, so to speak.
Hmm. 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 No, I can follow that conceptually. Um, from what I read, Ramana uh, went through long periods of silence in his life.
Yes.
And what is the significance of that? And is that an ideal to which we should seek? Because that would be difficult for me.
Yeah. Well, in the early years, um, people thought he was observing a vow of silence, but actually he wasn't. What happened when he was a 16-year-old boy, an intense fear of death arose in him, and spontaneously he turned his attention back to himself and merged forever into the pure being awareness that he actually is. So that was the dissolution of ego. What happened after that is, well, in one of the previous segments, you asked me why we refer to him as Bhagavan, which is a term that ultimately means God, because the ego, the individual, was completely annihilated. So what remained shining through the person that he seemed to be is that ultimate reality. We cannot adequately conceive this by our mind, but what happened in the early years after the dissolution of his ego, he had no inclination to talk. He had no inclination to do anything. So he would sit quiet. People thought people say he was meditating. He was, he was practicing samadhi. He was observing silence. it wasn't any of these things. He was just being as he is. But later, according to the divine will, we can say, he began to come more down to the normal level of interaction with people.
How long did he stay silent?
Well, he never actually, it was never a vow of silence, so nobody can say exactly how long. That after this death experience, he was 16 years old at that time. 6 weeks later, he left his home in Madurai, and he came to Tiruvannamalai, the holy hill Arunachala. And in the early years, particularly the early months he was there, he was completely unaware of the body. At first, he was living in the temple. There's a big 25-acre temple with many shrines and mandapam. Mandapam means pillared hallways and everything. Other boys of his age, seeing this strange boy sitting there, seemingly absorbed in meditation, they started teasing him and throwing stones at him and everything. So to avoid unwanted attention, he went down into an underground shrine. And he sat there, and nobody knew he was there for some weeks, or possibly even, we don't know exactly how long. It would definitely have been a matter of weeks. It could have, probably it was more than a month. And he was so totally oblivious to his body. Because that was a neglected shrine, where it was a dirty floor, all sorts of insects and vermin were there on the floor. They ate his thighs. The skin on his thighs was completely eaten. When he was eventually found by some people, and they wanted to take him out, because they came and they saw this boy completely unaware of anything. They're not aware of their presence or anything. So with great awe and reverence, they decided it's not good for him to remain there. They decided to lift him up. And when they lifted him up, his thighs were sealed to the ground because of all the pus and blood. So the fresh blood started pouring out. So he was so totally oblivious to the body. They took him out and they placed him under one tree in another part of the temple, and he wasn't eating. He hadn't eaten for weeks, and so from the mother's temple, when they do the worship, they do what is called abhishekam, and among the abhishekam, they pour milk over the vigraha, over the idol. So they collected the milk from the mother's shrine, and they brought it to him, and they opened his mouth, and slowly were putting, and slowly over the following weeks, he slowly, in the view of others, regained body consciousness. So it was a slow, and then from that time to a time when he started interacting with people in what, in the view of others, would seem a normal way, it was several years. During that time, people thought he was keeping silence, but people, for example, one person called Shiv Prakashan Pillai came and asked him a series of questions, and he replied by just writing in the sand. Or then he bought a piece of paper and pen, he wrote things. So, and he probably did speak occasionally, but very, very little, because he had no inclination to speak.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and comment below. You can support Closer to Truth by subscribing. Closer to Truth is now accepting your tax-exempt donations. Please come to closertotruth.com/donate. Thank you very much for supporting us, and thanks for watching.